Alright, yeah, welcome back to some more Magic Arena, and back again for some more 100 card historic Brawl. Today we're going to be playing with a community deck that was submitted to me on the Discord, because I didn't have time to build another deck, so figured we'd be checking this one out. It's actually I guess a controversial commander. We're going to be playing with Winota, or Winota, as I've decided to call it. This card was banned for Brawl, rightly so, for a long time, and probably should not have been unbanned, but Wizards have decided that their matchmaking system is set up in such a way where this should only be pitted against matches that are of an equal power level, which, from my experience, has been the case, which is fortunate. The unfortunate part is the match variety is actually almost non-existent. You go against like 3 of the same decks over and over and over again, and they're decks that aren't particularly fun for at least me to play against. They're usually the ones that I would auto-scoop. But this deck is sufficiently powerful to beat them, and therefore we can still, regardless, have a good back and forth. So again, thank you Kappa on the Discord for submitting this deck for me, and allowing me to play with some nonsense. So, how does Winota work? It's a 4-mana 4/4, and says whenever a non-human creature you control attacks, you look at the top 6 cards of your library, and then you put a human creature card from among them onto the battlefield tapped and attacking, and it gains indestructible until the end of the turn. Put the rest of the cards on the bottom of your library in a random order. So, the early game should be spent almost exclusively playing non-creatures, so like Legion's Landing, Loyal Pegasus, Selfless Savior, all the way up until turn 4. And then on turn 4, hopefully you've got 3 or 4 of these creatures around to get 3 or 4 triggers off Winota. From there, you basically spin the RNGesus wheel and hope to hit humans every single trigger. The big ones that you want to hit are Angras Marauders, a 7-mana 4/4 that doubles the damage of all permanents that deal damage on that turn. So the combat damage that comes in, Angras Marauders attacks for 8, and all your little creatures are doubled up as well, and anything else off the other Winota triggers is ready to go. There's Haktos the Unscarred, a personal favourite of mine. It's a 6/1 that can have protection from everything but 2, 3, or 4, so likely an unblockable creature in the later turns as well to finish off the last points of damage. The Silver Wing Squadron here, 6-mana star, flying vigilance, power and toughness equal to the number of creatures you control, so we're trying to go wide, and this certainly helps with that. And when it attacks, it creates 2 white knight creature tokens with vigilance equal to the number of opponents you have, so it makes a 2/2 basically in a roundabout fashion. I think this is from like the Brawl precon or something like that, which is why it cares about number of opponents. And then, you know, there's some other stuff as well. Some things are powerful, some things maybe not so, and some things care about attack triggers, and unfortunately the way that Winota works, the attack triggers don't go off when these get pulled out of the deck, but the following combat step they totally will. So Sir Alan, for example, can do that Anthem effect on the next combat step, which is potentially quite relevant anyway. But yeah, I think I'm just going to leave it there. I'm sure most of you know what Winota does, and the game plan will speak for itself in a very short space of time anyway. So if you do enjoy the content and you want to see more of it, make sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more content. Leave a comment down below and let me know what you are playing in the 100 card Historic Brawl event. Very curious to know, because the metagame could seem pretty weirdly skewed as far as matchups are concerned, just based off of how the matchmaker works. You don't really get a good idea of what the metagame is. The metagame is basically whatever deck you were playing, so I'd like to know what you guys were playing anyway, so let me know down below. And other than that, enjoy the gameplay. This video is brought to you by the generous support of our wonderful patrons and channel members that you see here. If you'd like to support the channel and get access to cool content like sneak peeks, bonus videos, polls on future content, or access to a personal deck critique from myself every month, then hit the join button down below, or check out the Patreon link in the description. With all that said, let's get into the gameplay. Alright, we're in and on the draw, which I think is basically a death sentence in the mirror, but we do have a mana tithe. So maybe we'll just mana tithe someone. You never know. Winota on 4 just gets beaten by mana tithe, right? He's hoping. Here's hoping. So I don't really need to go into what our opponent's commander is doing. They've got a 1-2 that I need to compete with. So let's go with the Hope of Girapa. What do we want after this? Honestly, like, land drop into 1-drop maybe, I don't know. Is what we're looking to accomplish here. Now, our opponent did mull very low down. So I guess there's a world where we want non-creatures, right? Because, yeah, non-humans, sorry. We want non-humans, and then we want all of our humans in our deck, and we've drawn a few, so... Bit weird and wild, but who knows. So now we're both on 2 lands. I'm definitely not in a good place as far as likelihood of getting to 4 is concerned, but our opponent got their 3rd, so we just have to hope that we get ours as well. Whee, look at that. Alright, so that means I can go Honored Crop Captain, hold open Mana Tithe for Winota. I'll get in for 1 with Hope of Girapa, I guess. I don't want to trade off with the Garrison Cat, which has a death trigger. If I don't need to. So we Mana Tithe Winota when they play their land. Oh, okay, they dodged. They dodged a land drop, which is not great for us necessarily. Yeah, it's not great, but you'll have to do. Opponent passes. Because I really can't do anything here without dropping my Tithe, and if I drop my Tithe, I lose the game. If they have another land, I also lose the game here. It's too much value. So, land Winota is game over. Come on, just play Winota with a land in hand. I'd love for you to do that. Executioner just hits Hope of Girapa. Interesting. Alright, I will take 2. Hero of Precinct 1. Well, we can play that. Still not trading an Honor Cropped Captain into Garrison Cat and Vanguard paying 4. Come on, now we need a land. We've just Mana Tithed successfully. We've dodged theirs. Now we need our Wrath effect. We're only really getting 1 Kenra trigger, to be fair, but it's better than nothing, I suppose. Which is what we will have if we miss our land drop again. Absolutely nothing. Alright. You're a human. Let's play Zerzoth. I'm not going to pretend that I really know what that card does. I'm going to go in with a Hero Precinct 1 here. I think honestly, I'll trade 4 life total for a double block. Alright, what does this thing do? Whenever an opponent draws their first card each turn, if it's not their turn, I get a devil. Whenever one of our devils attack, you and each of those players draw a card. Okay. So it does a thing. Come on, land. Here we go. Alright. So we have the Winota. We have 2 triggers ready to go. Do I send the Honored Crop Captain in for a little bit of a pumpage as well? It's only power, so it's not really going to keep anything alive. You're a human, you're a human. Yeah, 2 Winota triggers it is, I guess. We even get a Zerzoth thing as well. Elite Spellbinder is our first hit. Ranger of Eos. I think that's what I'll take here. Maybe I actually take the Arcane Signet. Ooh, that's pretty good. I maybe should have taken the Arcane Signet because it keeps them away from Winota, but I think this game is over now. This seems just a little too good. With Honored Crop Captain giving us a really big pump next turn, and Embercleave already in hand as well. Opponent with no chance of playing their Winota. think this one's just in the bag. So there's the Arcane Signet I probably should have taken. And our opponent scoops it up. Mana Tithe taking the victory there in this mirror. So honestly, that was really the only reason why we won that game, is our opponent was on the play, but we had an on-the-draw reaction spell to it, and our opponent didn't play around it, or couldn't in this particular case. Otherwise, if they'd have resolved it, I think they had Raptor, Vanguard, Garrison Cat at the time, so they would have gotten 3 triggers, which is more than we got on our follow-up turn. Really weird set of mana-screwed opponents and players here. But yeah, on to the next one, I guess. Alrighty then, we're in, and on the draw, we've got a Loyal Pegasus, and then nothing really after that. So I think we take the free mulligan on this one. Yeah, this one looks a little bit better. It's a little bit awkward with the Castle Arden Veil, but we can make it work, I think. Krenko Tin Street Kingpin's kind of insane with Winota. We've got to be really quick, though, because we are against the Secret God of the Tree, which is an extremely broken commander that is not banned. And, well, since we have no turn 1 play regardless of what land we play, we'll just play the tap land here. Anax. We've already got our 4 lands, so we might as well just play... Well, to be honest, we're going to be playing Krenko, aren't we, really? Most likely. I don't know. Let's take Anax. Can't be too bad, surely. Alright, so let's go with our turn 2 play, which is going to be a Danto Vanguard, I suppose. Our opponent, if they have a 3rd land, can do a Seeker, I guess. I don't know if they'd want to, but they could. We need to keep them away from 5 mana, really, or win by the time that happens. So there's Clothis with no value. Could do Selfless Savior, Guardian Idol, but we can't use the idol for the Winota. Krenko doesn't make attacking goblins. Still, he makes extra goblins, which is extra Winota triggers. I guess there's maybe a world where we can keep Winota alive for a turn, and then Selfless Savior protects Winota, and all that time we're generating lots of goblins and a big old board. So our opponent's passed the turn, clearly with an answer. So we don't really need to play into an answer now, do we? So let's not play Winota here. Let's just get the pressure on so our opponent has to do something different. Not playing into that sight coming. I shall not do it. What we will do, though, is play Anax here, which gives us board wipe protection, Selfless Savior, additional board wipe protection opponent with the Omen of the Hunt. So if they tap out for the Prismatic Bridge here, they're just going to lose, most likely. I have a hard time seeing how our board state doesn't just look disgusting here. So Anax just makes... I was going to read the card because I couldn't quite remember whether it's token or non-token. It's non-token, so if we use Selfless Savior to protect anything, we're not really benefiting from that. So instead what we're going to do is we're going to let Vanguard die, Krenko die, Anax die, Savior die, and 4 power, it's not relevant there. So we get 4 tokens, we untap with the land, we get 4 Winota triggers. It's probably a pretty reasonable chance that we can kill something with that. Maybe even just keep the Anax alive with the Selfless Savior and just abandon a single Satyr token. I don't know. I don't know. We didn't even have to figure it out, though, so on to the next one. Alright, we're in, and apparently we're up against the greatest hits of banned cards. This one's got a Servo Exhibition on 2. Sabira and an elite spellbinder being 2 humans. I think, honestly, with like 2 servo tokens, that's enough for Winota. And the spellbinder can like keep us from like getting board wiped, I guess, on turn 4. So let's keep this one. Putting it on the play with Golas Tireless Pilgrim. I'm sure I don't really need to say much about this card. It was banned and now it's not. Apparently 100 card Singleton Brawl makes it fine. I don't know. I can see an argument for Winota, because when I played against it, it wasn't all that bad, personally, but I don't know. We're just going to go with Plains Reveal here, because that's probably all I need to play. And Satyrs Cunning as a turn 1 play is very nice. So they have Field of the Dead, which Golos would normally just tutor out. Golos, by the way, doesn't apply to command attacks, because when it enters, it gets the land. It basically needs to regenerate all that value. It's really fair and balanced. I'm going to get him for 1 here and trade the Drover if they offer it. I want to keep them away from their bigger spells anyway. Next turn is almost certainly Elite Spellbinder, so that we can check their hand for board wipes. Growth Spiral. Lazy Plains and a Fable Passage. Crack that for a Snow Basic. If the deck's constructed correctly, which it is. Alright. And a Gilded Goose. Alright. Foretold a card. That could have been Doomscar, actually. Oh, if that's a Doomscar. That'd be the literal worst. I can't answer their mana dorks to keep them away from it. So where do we go with this one? I think we still Spellbinder. I think we've just got to assume that that isn't a Doomscar in a 100 card deck. Grim Tutor and Thought Erasure. Well, I don't really care about my hands, so let's keep them from tutoring, I guess. Again, if they need to find a board wipe, we'll keep them off it. And this has to be Doomscar, otherwise they're in bad old trouble. I guess they can have a counterspell, but would they? I don't know what Golas decks look like anymore. Before it was banned, I was just auto-scooping it because it was the most miserable experience known to man. The thing is with Doomscar, if they play it, it sets them back so far because all their mana is tied up in creatures right now. So I guess it makes sense that they're going to go for the Golos here and maybe get a Triome. Fix for, like, blue. Yeah. And then they just kind of have to hope that we don't ruffle stomp them with a Winota with 3 triggers. Because I'm going for it. No Pact to Negation from them. 3 triggers. We got Hero of Precinct 1, not great. Fireborn Knight's not bad. Although, chosen creature gains indestructible. Protect the Winota. Creatures you control get +1/+1. Okay, could have been better, could have been worse. So now Winota's safe from removal. The rest of my board, obviously, not so much. But we take what we can get, really. Okay, we lose 1 non-human here. And if it is a Doomscar, they have to go for it. I can keep Winota in play, so maybe a haste creature is pretty good. Sabira, unfortunately, being a haste human doesn't do me many favors. Alrund's Epiphany was the foretold card. Okay, so they get some 1/1s. What's the boast on this? Can you only do it once? You can only do it once. Alright, so I can give everything +1/+1 for a single attack. Which isn't terrible. They've got no good attacks here, so they might as well just pass. There is no world where I don't block Golos on that combat step. Exiles the top 3 cards and they can play them without paying their mana costs. That's Land, Time Warp, and Paradise Druid. Extra turn again for another spin of the Golos wheel. And maybe even Field of Dead, actually. Still in this game. Yep, Field of Dead's online. And Paradise Druid. Get in for 2. So on that case, they should totally do it. It's just free damage. But maybe they've forgotten that they're taking an extra turn here. Okay. Untaps. Spin the wheels again. I wonder what they're actually digging for. Realistically, what's... I mean, board wipe seems reasonable. More extra turn spells, I don't even think they exist anymore, except for Khan's Temporal Sundering, I suppose. Nissa, who ruins the game. Well, opponent's got a better board state than we have. There's no doubt about that. There's another zombie. I'm going to need something like really amazing off of these 2 triggers here, because I think I still have to go in for combat. I guess I could play Sabira and then shock in and make these unblockable. That way I don't really lose anything. Extra land drop, search for Ascanta and Belladros. And pay 10 life to untap. And go to 2. It's very risky because they are dead to my cards in hand if they do that. Okay. Opponent's turn is 10 minutes long. Alright. So they make a token. Counter on each creature you control. Well, I think the plan, since they've gone wide enough for the boast to not really do much here, I think the plan is just to play Sabira and make these 2 unblockable so that I don't lose them, assuming that I go in for another piece of combat. Keep everything else back. The trays just don't look that great otherwise. So, go to 23. You can't be blocked. And you can't be blocked. I don't know what we could hit off of this that really makes a difference, but there's only one way to find out. No other non-humans on my table. So we send it. Haktos. That's a pretty good one. So if we got like Angrath's Marauders, we could win the game here. Do I want to hit them for 8? Yeah. Actually, let me think. With Haktos, it's... I can't even look at Haktos anymore. It's, what, 2, 3, or 4 that it could hit. 2. They don't have a blocker. 3. They do not have a blocker. 4. They don't have a blocker. Send it our opponent. Try to go for the win. Tajik, Legion's Edge. Sure. Give it a shot. Wasn't meant to be, but it is an unblockable thing on 3, and they have no 3-drops here, so Haktos is the win next turn. It's a shame that Dauntless Bodyguard isn't a selfless savior, because otherwise I could reattach that Haktos. Well, actually, no, I can't even protect with a selfless savior there. They need a board wipe now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 for Grim Tutor. Lose 3, though. Can they even lose 3? They're taking 8. Going to 4. They can go to 1 with a Grim Tutor. They have no token here. There is a land here and a Paradise Druid. We've taken Belladross off of the pay 10. Which is probably irrelevant at this stage. It's a shame they didn't go for the untap and the Golos, though. That might have just been the win for us if they had. Nothing in our hand matters, so Thought Erasure doesn't. And I mean, we've got a Sabira win anyway here. So we can just make most of our board completely unblockable. We are protected from non-combat damage as well with the Tajik here, so like damage-based board wipes aren't going to work. But maybe there's an answer here. They've got 3, 4, 5, 6 mana, 7 mana, 8 mana with the forest. They've got loads of mana, actually. They have a lot of mana. So I imagine they can pick whatever they want here and it'll do just fine. I'm sure it's a Ugin minus. And, you know, Ugin does Ugin things. Oh look, it's Ugin. So they have to -4. I love Ugin. He ruins every game I play. Just actually every game. Combat first before the sweep. Makes sense. So we'll take all of our easy blocks and force the Ugin minus, which seems to be where they're going with this. They get to keep all their land creatures. Alright. So this goes, because it's going to go regardless. This block's here. This block's here. I don't let them gain any life. So I don't block the 1/1 that gains life when it dies. I guess Gingerbrute is a win here. Lightning Bolt's a thing. Opponent makes a food. So they need to do a -4. And then everything I play dies to Ugin's tick up all the way to the victory screen, unfortunately. Does my graveyard matter? I actually don't know if my graveyard matters, so I'm just going to activate this in case it does. Keep it in the graveyard. I have a token. To the command zone, please. So a land, which we have in Amiria's Call, is another Winota trigger, I suppose. They're going to go to 4. Reverent Hoplite's not going to do a dang thing. Yeah, I suppose I just pay Winota, attack, and hope for the best, really. I don't know what I could really even hit, to be honest. Nothing is the answer. Alright, I think we'll go to the next game. We're not winning this. Alright, we go first. We've got 1-drop, 2-drop, 3-drop with the Guardian Idol to get us to 3 mana, and then hopefully for the win with the rest. Another Golos matchup. We are going to go straight in with the Rigging Runner here. It's all about getting creatures down as early as possible, so I'm not going to focus on the, what is it, the raid? Yeah, the raid trigger of the extra 1/1 counter. I don't think it's really relevant when we'll just win on turn 4, most likely. So Terramorphic Expanse for our opponent. And Forest. We got a Fury, Calm, Snarl. We do have to do that in a reveal form, because playing it tapped next turn could potentially do a lot of damage. And we are going to go Instigator here. And swing for one. It's the max amount of damage that we can do, I think, without, you know, dedicating some of our mana to a Guardian Idol. So we are a land away from winning. Our opponent is a board wipe away from winning. Got the Explore. Into Hinterland Harbour, so currently stuck on Sultai right now. And a Gilded Goose. Alright, that stops them taking 1 point of damage. Showdown of the Scalds. Swing for 3. They take 2. They could have a Languish. Or an Extinction Event. Extinction Event leaves us with creatures, though. So that doesn't really help too much. On deciding which 1/1 they want to block. Or maybe block at all. Honestly, it could be a relevant thing to consider. Do I have the Adventure Rimrock, whatever it's called, Rimrock Knight? Certainly a thing I could have and maybe should have, but I don't. Not as far as I can tell, anyway. Alright, so 3 triggers on Winota next turn if our opponent does not have an answer. This is a deck that could run counter magic. Abundant Harvest for non-land, presumably. Oh, land. Okay. Oh dear. That is a swamp. That is potentially a Languish. Or double black removal spell. Arboreal Grazer. Alright, so I'm still seeing Murderous Rider vibes here. I would love for you to tap that out. Thank you. Alright, so can we win from this position? This is a kind of deck that probably should. So let's see if it does. And by should, I don't mean it will. I mean, if it wants to compete in the circles that the matchmaker has put us in, it better. Because it does not beat any of the matches we've seen today in the long game. We got a True Fire Captain and a Tanika, which doesn't get an attack trigger, so we're going to go with True Fire here. Dauntless Bodyguards. I will attach to Winota, I guess, to keep her around. Oh, that's a good one. You tapped out? No. Baron Toughness when it attacks. Yeah, do that. That one's a good one. White Knight creature tokens. And it's a 7/7. These are the cards you're supposed to be hitting. Alright, so our opponent goes to 5. We have a protected from destroy base board wipe Winota here. And a follow-up of Idol and Tin Street Dodger to keep the triggers going. Our opponent is now at 5. It was board wipe or bust, and apparently our opponent, well, they were about to bust, and they did. So, on to the next one. Alright, we go first. We have 1-drop, 2-drop, we have a Lightning Bolt, we have no 3-drop technically, but I think Bounty Agent's a pretty good 2-drop. It takes care of legendary permanents that are creatures, so our opponent's Winota never really gets an attack in, if that's where we end up going with it. Opponent mulled for their free mull, then took a mull, so they're down to 6. So how do we want to do this? Do we want to go Motivator turn 1? That means Sacred Foundry turn 2 has to happen, so we shock ourselves. I don't know if Motivator really matters on turn 1 here. Definitely put that to the bottom. Any expensive humans are just trash as top decks. So they have an Usher of the Fallen. I think I might just go Motivator Mountain, hold up Lightning Bolt. Trade with Usher if that's maybe what they want to do. So this only makes humans, so the human tokens themselves don't really matter. It's more a case of the Usher in general. And maybe this ball is better served on something else. Yeah, I mean, this is totally fine. Go to blockers, take out a 2-1 with a 1-1. They've got a token that doesn't trigger off Winota. We can go Spellbinder. To be fair, we don't really have a good follow-up here either. I think we just want to try and maybe color screw our opponents. Since they've got 2 planes, maybe I can take their last white card out of their hand. Well, not really. I'm going to take the Tybalt. That's 2 creatures for 3 mana. Apparently that's it. Oh, pro-level plays. Absolute pro-level plays of color screwing our opponent with good old Aaron Jesus. Sweet, on to the next one, I guess. Alright, we play first, another mirror match. You absolutely love to see these mirror matches. I mean, it's not a good look, to be honest, that this is what the matchmaker does, but if it does mean that all the banned cards, or the banned commanders, and terribly overpowered commanders only go against other terribly overpowered commanders, then I guess I'm fine with it. Our opponent's got a Garrison Cat to lead off with, and I'm just going to go with a Temple of Triumph here. An Angel on 3 is pretty good. So we can do, like, smashing tapped, play Angel. Pegasus down. That's fine. We could go with, like, Spellbinder, but I like the idea of maybe having a Winota next turn. A Winota that doesn't lightning bolt me seems preferable. Run it with a Spellbinder. Okay, so that does mean Angelic Page runs straight into a Spellbinder, unfortunately. This makes a human. So if I traded this, they have no Winota options either. I don't know. I like my chances of Winota top decks, because since I get to go first as well, I get the aggression. Oh my god. That's embarrassing. Okay. Oh. 1-1 trades a 3-1. Here comes Winota of their own. They better whiff, it's only fair. We will 100% block the Garrison Cat, I think. Ah yes, 1,000,000 soldier tokens. Yep, that's fair. I deserve it. Let me kill Winota. Nope. Okay. Yeah, that's game. That's game. Let's see what they had. They don't need any more, mind you, but let's see what they had in hand. Mana Tithe, Iron Axe. It's good enough. On to the next one. Alright, we're in. And a matchup I did not expect. We have Nicol Bolas Dragon God on the other side. Oh god. This hand's not keepable, mostly because of the mana base sucks. So we're going to hit the free mull on that one. Mana base still sucks, but at least it's got a turn 1 and turn 2 play here. And we just hope that our opponent's singleton deck doesn't have a board wipe on 4. Or counter spells on 4, I guess, as well. So Nicol Bolas Dragon God is our opponent's commander. The Planeswalker 5-drop. Anax isn't bad, actually. If we have the land for it, at least. Planeswalker 5-drop. It has the loyalty abilities of all other Planeswalkers on the battlefield. It ticks up, draws a card, and makes us exile a permanent from our hand or one that we control. -3 destroys a creature or Planeswalker. And then the -8 usually just wins the game. We missed our land drop, which sucks very badly. Well, we get 1 point in of unblockable damage here. We kind of hope that Anax gets to at least come down. We just lose this way, I guess. Alright. Yeah, I mean, we're playing against a control deck that wants to go to the late game, and we're allowing them to do that by drawing bad cards, so... guess that's what it is. Land. They're so far away from casting their Nicol Bolas, though, so there is that, but... like, we never resolve a Winota with this hand. Let's go! Let's go Anax. This at least means if they have a Languish, I get tokens back. And it gets a counter out of the hand as well. Almost guaranteed for the exact same reason. They want to make sure that I don't get those tokens on a board wipe. Please tap out so that I can draw planes and win the game. I lose. I just lost. On to the next game. Okay, we're in, and we've got a lot of humans in our hand, which does us no favors, so we only have one non-human here and 3 lands, so I'm going to take the free mull on that one. This one's got non-human, non-human, protection for one of our creatures, and a hero precinct one that makes more humans. We're going to keep this one. It's not great. Also has a blink moth as well, which is technically a non-human. Do we go Blink Moth, Hope of Giripa here? Takes the summoning sickness off of the Blink Moth, and maybe that's useful for us, I don't know. Blast Zone on 1. Ouch. Draw a 1-drop. Double ouch. Now, I guess our plan now is to play Selfless Savior. To do anything else is probably a bad idea. Although, actually, no, we'll go Dauntless Bodyguard, because it's a human that's not going to trigger Winota. So if I have to sack a card, it's going to have to be this one, I think. That's brutal, that Blast Zone. Only with his hand, though. So Hope of Giripa can be indestructible if I want it to be. Try and make that Blast Zone not so overpowered. And then next time we go Legion's Landing, Selfless Savior. We have a token at least, I guess, which is a vampire. And we have a Hope of Giripa. And that works somewhat for our turn 4 Winota. Ooh, Zerzoth. One or more devils you control attack. We don't have any devils. So I guess I got Legion's Landing here. I'll swing first. Because Legion's Landing itself doesn't really need to survive the Blast Zone. It's the token that needs to survive here for Winota to be good. And we can play around counter magic that's conditional this way as well. Interesting, I can stop them casting non-creatures. I don't think that's necessarily relevant. Going with their Search for a Canter here. So they need to have Pact Negation, but that would kill them. What else could they have here? I don't really think there is anything else. Well, let's get 2 Winota triggers. Flip Legion's Landing. When it attacks, that's not relevant. Enters the battlefield with a counter on it for each other creature. That is relevant. And Angras Marauders. Alright. There we go. Angras Marauders just made that decision very easy. Our opponent is dead. Very good. Well, that's going to do it for today's video. Hopefully I've identified the matchups that you'll be going against and how to play against them. There are 3 decks you'll play against when you play against Winota. You'll play against Winota, Asika, and Golos. and occasionally something else, but very unlikely. Those are going to be like the other matchups in, like, you know, Wizards tournaments kind of nomenclature, I guess. But yeah, if you're not a Spike, I would never recommend this deck, because this is literally the matches I played against are the ones that I would typically auto-scoop 100% of the time. But obviously they are every single matchup that I play against when I play Winota, and probably deservedly so. But yeah, it's a weird one. But hopefully you guys have enjoyed anyway, and if you have, make sure to hit the like button and subscribe for more content like this in the future. And without further ado, gonna end it off here. Take care, and good night.